We often think living better means adding more. A better lamp, better storage, better kitchen tools, better clothes, better routines, better products that promise to make life feel calmer, prettier, more complete. But very often, more does not improve life. It just fills it. It fills the drawers. It fills the surfaces. It fills the mind with low-level decisions. Where do I put this? Why did I buy that? Why does my home still feel noisy when I have already bought so many things to improve it? One of the quiet strengths of Danish living is this. The goal is not to own as little as possible. The goal is to make daily life work well. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. Because when you stop buying for fantasy and start choosing for real life, your home becomes easier to maintain. Your routines become lighter, and the things you do own begin to feel more useful, more loved, and more enough. In this video, I want to share 5 Danish-inspired rules for buying less. Rule 1. Buy for the life you actually live. One of the easiest ways to overbuy is to shop for a version of yourself that does not really exist. You buy for your imagined morning routine, your imagined dinner parties, your imagined organized self, your imagined future wardrobe, your imagined home. And there is nothing wrong with aspiration. But when aspiration becomes your shopping strategy, your home slowly fills with objects meant for a life you are not actually living. A Danish approach tends to be much more grounded. It asks a quieter question. What supports the rhythm of my real days? Not your ideal days, your real ones. If your mornings are rushed, you do not need more decorative breakfast tools. You need fewer obstacles. If you mostly wear the same silhouettes every week, you do not need a fantasy wardrobe. You need pieces that layer well, feel good, and make getting dressed easy. If your home is small, you do not need furniture that looks impressive but blocks movement. You need space that flows. Buying less becomes much easier when you stop asking, "Do I like this?" and start asking, "Will this make ordinary life easier?" That is a powerful shift, because ordinary life is where most of life happens. Not on special occasions, not in a perfectly styled moment, not in a future version of yourself. A lot of overconsumption comes from trying to emotionally buy your way into a different identity. But living better often starts with accepting the life in front of you and supporting it well. The home that feels calm is usually not the one with the most ideas inside it. It is the one that matches the people who actually live there. So before buying anything, pause and ask, does this serve my real routine? Or does it serve a fantasy? That question alone can save you money, space, and mental clutter. Rule 2. Choose fewer things that do more. In many calm and functional homes, one pattern appears again and again. Objects are expected to earn their place, not by being expensive, not by being trendy, but by being useful, durable, and easy to live with. This is one of the most practical ways to buy less. Choose fewer things that do more. A bowl that works for breakfast, soup, fruit, and serving. A jacket that works across seasons. A bench that stores, seats, and keeps an entryway clean. A glass that feels good enough for guests, but sturdy enough for every day. A blanket that is beautiful, but also one you actually reach for. When items can adapt to real life, you simply need less. And there is something very Danish in that idea. Not owning less for the sake of appearance, but removing unnecessary specialization. Because the more narrowly objects are defined, the more of them you need. One for this, one for that, one for a rare occasion, one because the last one is too delicate, one because the other one does not quite fit. Soon your home is full, but oddly less functional. Versatile objects create visual calm because they reduce quantity, but they also create mental calm because they reduce decisions. You know what to reach for. You know where it goes. You use it often enough to value it. Living better is not always about upgrading. Sometimes it is about simplifying the relationship between you and the things around you. So when you buy, look for range. Can this work in more than one room? More than one season? More than one type of day? The best purchases are often not the most exciting at first. They are the ones that quietly prove their worth again and again. Rule 3. Leave room empty on purpose. A lot of people think a well-designed home is a home where every corner is finished, every shelf styled, every wall filled, every surface decorated, every gap solved. But one of the most calming things you can do in a home is leave some space unused on purpose. Empty space is not wasted space. It is breathing room. This is true visually, but also emotionally. When every surface is occupied, your home asks something from you all the time. Notice this, clean this, move this, maintain this, justify this. When some space is left open, the room becomes quieter. A shelf with 3 things often feels better than a shelf with 10. A hallway with space to move feels better than one more basket that technically fits. A kitchen counter with nothing extra on it is easier to wipe, easier to use, and easier to love. Buying less becomes easier when you begin to value emptiness, because then the goal is no longer, how can I improve this corner? But does this corner maybe already have enough? That is a very different instinct. And it matters because so much consumption comes from discomfort with incompleteness. We see an empty wall and think it needs something, an empty corner and think it needs a chair, a clear table and think it needs a tray, a candle, a book stack, a vase. Sometimes it does, but often what it needs is nothing. Danish interiors often feel calm, not because they are empty, but because they are edited. There is space around things, space between functions, space for light, space for movement, space for the eye to rest. So a simple rule can be this: do not just budget for what you bring in, protect what you leave open. That empty space may be doing more for your well-being than the next thing you buy. Rule 4. Repeat what works instead of chasing novelty. Modern shopping culture trains us to look for stimulation. New drop, new season, new micro-trend, new solution, new must-have. But one of the quiet secrets of calmer living is this: you do not need constant novelty to feel good in your home or in your life. You often need more trust in what already works. Repeat the breakfast you enjoy. Buy the socks you actually wear. Replace the mug with the same mug if it was perfect. Keep the coat shape that always looks right on you. Choose materials, colors, and objects that age well in your life, instead of things that create a quick hit of excitement. This sounds boring only if you have been trained to confuse novelty with quality of life. In reality, repetition creates ease. When something works, repeating it reduces friction. It reduces shopping mistakes. It reduces visual chaos. It helps your home feel cohesive without trying too hard. A Danish mindset often values rhythm over reinvention, not because life should be dull, but because stability is underrated. There is comfort in knowing what suits you. There is freedom in not having to redecide everything. There is beauty in living with objects long enough to really know them. And this applies far beyond decor. The bag you always reach for, the chair everyone naturally sits in, the lamp that makes the room feel right every evening, the simple meal you return to every week. When you stop chasing newness, you start noticing usefulness. And usefulness, over time, becomes a very deep kind of luxury. So the next time you feel the urge to buy something different, ask, do I want this because it is better, or because it is new? That one question can protect you from a surprising amount of unnecessary consumption. Rule 5. Let care replace consumption. Perhaps the most overlooked way to buy less is not restraint. It is care. Care for what you already own. Care for your home before it gets chaotic. Care for fabrics, wood, ceramics, shoes, tools, and daily objects before they become disposable in your mind. A home begins to feel richer when things are maintained, not constantly replaced. A sweater brushed and folded well can feel more luxurious than 3 cheap new ones. A wooden table that is cleaned and oiled becomes more beautiful with time. A kitchen with fewer tools, but each one washed, stored, and used with ease, feels better than drawers packed with duplicates. Care changes your relationship to possessions. You stop treating objects as short-term mood fixes. You start seeing them as part of the texture of life. This creates gratitude, but also selectiveness. Because once you know you will care for what you bring in, you become more thoughtful about bringing it in at all. You buy less impulsively. You buy with more intention. You choose materials you want to keep. You stop filling your home with temporary things that ask for no commitment and offer no lasting value. And maybe this is one of the deepest lessons here. Living better is not always about owning less. It is about relating differently to what you own, with more attention, more maintenance, more gratitude, more enoughness. Care slows consumption because it makes replacement less automatic. And it also makes home feel warmer, not showroom perfect, not untouched, but lived in, respected, and real. So these are the 5 rules. Buy for the life you actually live. Choose fewer things that do more. Leave room empty on purpose. Repeat what works instead of chasing novelty. Let care replace consumption. None of these rules are dramatic, and that is exactly why they work. They do not ask you